Gridiron Grinder! Hut hut hike!
All right, we're rolling. It's Gridiron Grinder time. I'm Ryan. With me, as always, is my buddy James. Just a couple of dudes hanging out, talking about what's going on in the NFL each week. This is episode 145 of Gridiron Grinder. And for tonight, we're going to kick things off with Name That Stadium like we always do. Then we're going to jump into the news from this past week, which is really the past 2 weeks because we skipped last week. And then we're going to go and do a 2023 NFL schedule preview, which that came out the other week. We're going to talk about some of like the key games for the season, the international matchups, revenge games, blah blah blah, all that kind of fun stuff. And lastly, we'll close it off with our question of the week. And so, yeah, with all that being said, how's it going tonight, James?
It's going good. How's it going with you?
It's going good, man. Going good. Yeah, just getting my bearings, having a week off. Got to get settled back in, and you're going big time. Big baller on us here, man. And so we gotta accommodate you.
Yeah, eh, it happens. It was just like last week, with the flooring being put in, I couldn't do shit. Like he left at like 8 o'clock on like Wednesday, and then we were moving over the weekend, so I had to drive down and back like 3 hours each way to transport our animals.
Hey, you're moving up in the world, man. You're moving up in the world. It's all good stuff. And yeah, so hey, for anybody who's watching, just hit you up real quick with some housekeeping items. These episodes do get kind of lengthy, so we basically bookmark everything in the description of the video if you want to jump around, skip sections, whatever. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to the show. We do this every week, and it's the off season, so we're going to be coming up with probably like some creative topics here sooner than later, but we try to keep it relevant with current events. So the schedule was released. We're going to cover that tonight. And I think next week we're going to do some super early record predictions, something like that. And, we're just going to keep it going every week till we get back to some actual gridiron football action. So, yeah, I guess, James, that's, I guess, cue for you to take the ball and run with it with Name That Stadium, man.
So this is the section where, as you can see, I'm traveling around to different venues that host NFL games. Generally, try to tie it into something each week. You guess, first person to guess, get it right. We'll give you an extra special shout out. Probably bookmark it. You can replay it. You guess, you get it right. After the first person, then cool. We might even mention you guessing it wrong. We might make fun of you a little bit, poke fun, because a lot of times it's obvious where I am. There's some clue behind me in the video or something I say during the time we're talking that kind of keys you in. But well, 2 weeks ago I believe I was in Detroit, and I can't remember the reason for it. I think oh no, because it was announced, the schedule release was announced, and Detroit was starting or playing the first game of the season at Kansas City, and so I was a little annoyed of it. So I picked Detroit because I'm going to be in Kansas City for work the previous week to the
Oh,
game,
yeah.
and I really annoyed me that it's like, why can't I be there the following week? But it is what it is.
Yeah. Yeah. You got to stretch that out, man. Make it happen.
Mm-hmm.
Easier said than done, I know.
Yeah, a lot easier said than done.
All right. Well, yeah. Hey, hopefully we get a taker. I think we only get about a 10% hit rate on Name That Stadium, and it's been a while. But you never know. Maybe it'll get all fired up and we'll get some action. But otherwise, yeah, we'll move it on over. We'll do our recap of the past week, past 2 weeks rather. And I think the biggest thing, like by far and away, James, was the passing of Jim Brown.
Mm-hmm.
So he is now resting in peace. He made it to 87 years of age, and pretty much anybody who knows anything about football knows that this guy was one of the greatest of all time. And, we're talking running back, and I'm just pulling up a couple of the stats here. Running back from the Cleveland Browns from 1957 through 1965. He, let's just see, 2,359 rushing attempts for 12,312 rushing yards,
Mm-hmm.
106 touchdowns, and he averaged 104.3 rushing yards per game. All records at the time he retired, and the only player in NFL history with over 100 yards rushing per game for his career.
Yeah.
That's just scratching the surface. We could talk all day about this
Oh
guy.
yeah. Like he not only, I'm going to correct you a little bit. Yeah, he's one of the greatest football players, but he's, if not the greatest American athlete, he's one of the greatest American athletes ever. Not only football. Football wasn't even his best sport. His best sport was lacrosse. He's actually been mentioned as one of the top three lacrosse players all time.
Okay. Yeah, see, I didn't even know that
He
about him.
he
Holy
played
cow.
he played four sports in college. He did track. He was a lacrosse player in college. He played basketball in college and football. He averaged 13 points a game in basketball for the 2 years that he played varsity because they had the
Yeah.
varsity basketball at Syracuse. Um, he actually could have and probably would have, if it existed at the time, played professional lacrosse instead of professional football. He stepped away from football in his prime because the Cleveland Browns were jackasses. Um, no, seriously, he retired from football because he was filming a movie in Europe, and there were production delays, which was going to make him late for training camp. And the owner said, "Well, every day you're late, I'm going to fine you." He said, "You know
Okay.
what? Fuck you. I retire."
Yeah. Bad move, man. Not for him, for the team.
No, yeah, because after that, like I mean, in his prime, he stepped away from football for his acting career. He was in like something like 30 movies.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, the dude was amazing.
Yeah, he was definitely. It's just crazy. Like, and it was it like 8 of his 9 years in the NFL, 8 of his 9 seasons, he led the league in rushing.
Yeah, I don't remember what it was, but yeah, it was. I mean, it was something like that. I'm just doing a quick calc here while you're talking. 3, 1, 2, 5, 5. I mean, the dude averaged 5.219
Mm-hmm.
yards per carry over his career. That's just insane, man. Like you see guys, like you might remember Jamal Charles when he was with the Kansas City Chiefs. He had like a crazy high yards per carry average, but the the duration of his career was a lot shorter. Like for somebody to stay over 5 yards for the entirety of their career at that length, I mean, just unbelievable. And you watched him play. I mean, we still see the highlights, obviously. Totally different era of football, but the dude was just a beast, man. Ran really hard. I mean, he just looked like physically imposing on the field. It was, you know, yeah, just amazing, man. Just amazing.
Yeah, I'm trying to look for what year he didn't lead the league in rushing.
Okay.
Um, because it was like he was close. It was it was like one of the years in the middle. Uh, oh, yeah, I'm not seeing it offhand.
That's all right. You don't have to, dig too deep. It's all good, man. Um, well, let's just keep moving on, man. So, in other news from this past week, this one, I don't know, what was this, just today? The DeAndre Hopkins news?
Yeah, it was like a couple, like an hour or two before I had sent you. It blew me away that it happened.
Yeah. Yeah, like last week he was making comments about wanting to be, on a team with like a stable GM and a
Hmm.
quarterback that loves the game, and now here we are a week later, he's released. They obviously, I would like to believe they would have preferred to trade him and they couldn't, and so a shock, man, that they released him. I mean, we kind of knew that this was going to be a wasted year for Arizona anyhow, but man, I don't know. It's a big name guy to just flat out release him.
Yeah, it's crazy. Uh, apparently, so this year he would have like a $30 million cap hit, and by releasing him, they're only saving $8 million. So he has
Man,
like a $23 million, $22.6 million cap hit or dead cap hit for them this year, which is crazy.
I gotcha.
And apparently, like looking at this here, he's only dropped 3 passes over the last 3 seasons. He dropped 3 passes on 315 targets.
Yeah, he's pretty darn good. I mean, obviously the salary cap component is tricky because wherever he goes, I don't think we're going to see him taking some kind of huge discount. I think he wants big money. There was talk about him.
Mm-hmm.
Does he want highest paid receiver money? And he was saying he wasn't like looking for that, but everybody thought he was. And then I don't know. My concern with him, man, is he's just one of these guys that he's great on the field, but it seems like he's never frickin' practicing, man. And so it
Mm-hmm.
just, like I'd be hesitant with him coming to my team. I really would. Unless like it was like, you're going to pair him with like Rodgers with the Jets or something where you get like a veteran quarterback that's like, no, 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 it's all right. We'll make it work and whatever. But like if I'm on a team like the Lions, man, I would just be so suspect bringing him in when it's like you're asking everybody else to work their balls off. And then you got a guy that's just like, every week not going to practice.
Yeah, which is probably part of the reason why nobody was willing to trade for him is that
Yeah.
that that part of it.
Yeah. Send him to Baltimore, man. Let him and Lamar figure it out.
So apparently, Baltimore was one of the. I had heard this one of the rumored teams that were interested in trading for him,
Okay.
and
Let him make a move, man. Let him pay him some money, and you got him, Lamar, and Odell Beckham, man. Let's see what they can do. Obviously, they still got Mark Andrews at tight end, but it's like, okay, well now Lamar can't complain that he doesn't have wide receivers.
so he took a big like it's a little bit more what he said. I'm seeing the quote now, and he took a huge dig at Kyler.
Okay.
His full quote was, "I've been through 3 or 4 GMs in my career, so stable management, a QB who loves the game, a QB who brings everybody on board with him and pushes not just himself but everybody around him, and a great defense. A great defense wins championships."
Yeah, I knew the defense stuff, but yeah, okay.
So he said he'd want to play with Mahomes, Jackson, Allen, Hurts, or Herbert.
I don't blame him.
Neither do I.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, hey, if you're Kansas City, I mean, Mahomes, it's like that team is all about Mahomes. You
Uh-huh.
know, that's an example where you could bring him in, and if Mahomes is comfortable with it, and it's like, yeah, I don't need that much time to practice with him because we're gonna get it done on game day. Well, then fine, because them, it's like the cherry on top just to try and go out and get another Super Bowl.
I'm sorry, I just saw something that caught my eye. But yeah, exactly. But the Kansas City offense has gone away from the way that Hopkins plays with the deep threat. It's Kansas City offense is more of a high percentage, low risk throws.
It doesn't hurt to have wrinkles.
It doesn't, but I just don't see the fit there with Kansas City.
All right.
Now, Baltimore, yeah, 100%. I see a fit in Baltimore. Sorry, I have a new
Yeah, and
chair and it's kind of
probably Buffalo too. You know, Josh Allen likes to drop it deep, and Stephon Diggs is wanting a solid running mate.
true. But didn't they just sign or draft somebody that they're looking
Well,
to
I mean, hey, you want it now. This is how you do it.
true.
All right, let's keep moving, man. So next up, we got safety Tony Jefferson. He has announced his retirement from the NFL after 10 seasons. Journeyman safety, played with Arizona, Baltimore, San Francisco, and the New York Giants. One of these guys, just like always, like good, but maybe not like in the great category. Hey, 10 years in the NFL, man, it's effing impressive. So good for
Yeah,
him.
yeah.
Uh, the next thing I had, James, is the league has approved the emergency third quarterback. And so, this is all coming from that San Francisco game against Philly. Purdy got hurt, and then whoever it was, Josh Johnson or whatever behind him got a concussion. And so they like basically didn't have a quarterback in that game. And I'm kind of conflicted on it. It's like, you've got your 53 man roster. And, if you're only going to activate two quarterbacks, it's like, the rules and the risk. And if it happens, you get burned, you roll that dice, it's on you. But, I get it, something big happened, and so now we're changing things up. I don't know. It just like
It's not. I disagree with you. It's not changing things up. So it was like 5 years ago they got rid of the emergency third quarterback,
yeah,
and they
I
had it.
guess
They got rid of it,
let
and
let me just say this. It's just, if it's that much of a concern, I wouldn't be focusing just on the quarterback position. I'd be saying, okay, we're going to add three spots to the roster, the active roster, or something like that. And then it's like you can choose if it's a quarterback or not. But if you only have two and you get burned like this, it's on you. Like I don't know, like this is I know it's like the most important position in the game, but it
mhm.
just to me, I don't know. I don't know. I have mixed opinions on it, is what I'm saying. So
But the thing with the emergency third quarterback, if he goes in before like the fourth quarter, then the first two quarterbacks, your number one and number two, can't re-enter the game, and they're effectively gone. So I I see your point. I was surprised when they got rid of it
yeah,
because it was, and especially with like all the concussion stuff that they're going through, like something fluke
yeah.
happens and you don't want that to like severely affect the game like it did with San
Well,
Francisco. Like
yeah.
it
I mean, but
ruined.
it's like go back to COVID. Like, what team was it? Denver or whoever had to have a wide receiver at quarterback. Because their quarterbacks got COVID and they got ruled out. And they had the wide receiver. I don't know, like he completed one pass or something as a quarterback. But it's just like if it was going to change, why didn't something like that spur it? It's like, oh, because San Francisco lost a big game in the playoffs, now we're going to change it. It's just to me, I don't know. I don't like the sequence of events.
Well, see, but that situation with Denver, they had four quarterbacks on their roster that got COVID, so they didn't actually have anybody that could be an emergency third quarterback.
I mean, there was no emergency third quarterback at that time, anyhow.
Right.
So.
But even if they're like, oh well, you have to have a quarterback play, like it's like at that
Yeah,
point,
they were SOL no matter what, is what
yeah,
you're telling me.
they were SOL no matter what. So it
Okay,
wouldn't have mattered if the emergency third quarterback, or if they're like, oh, let's have an emergency third quarterback, that wouldn't have fucking mattered
sure.
because they were screwed. They had four quarterbacks on their roster, and all four of them got COVID or were
All
close
right.
contacts.
So bad example, but you knew where I was going with it.
Yeah. No, and I understand your point. It does. You make decisions. every week, but the impact of fluke occurrences, you they look at so they're looking at it in the sense of, well, this severely affects the competitive nature of the game.
Yeah, I
Like,
mean, 53 people on the roster. That's more than enough positions to have two guys for every spot on offense and defense, plus some, plus, you add in special teams. It's like if you're a team and you think having a quarterback's that important, I just feel like there's ample room for you to prioritize it and have a third one already. And then if not, then we're saying that the roster's just not big enough, and so just take it up a couple spots.
yeah, I was, my point is I didn't think when they got rid of the emergency third quarterback, whenever it was 5 years ago, 10 years ago,
Yeah,
I didn't think they should have done that,
I got you.
especially with their going over for player safety and with like concussions
Yeah,
and and like you can have like an offensive lineman, you can keep plugging people in there to play that position, so to speak, but and it's not going to really necessarily affect the game that much. But a quarterback, you or a running back, you could plug somebody in to be a running back, or you don't have to run the ball. But if you don't have a quarterback that can throw the ball more than 5 yards,
oh yeah,
then
yeah,
like you're basically fucked.
dead in the water. Yep,
Yeah,
I
and have
got
no
you.
chance. And that's why they did it. Like, but I understand your point.
All right, well, we're talking quarterbacks. Let's talk about a quarterback, Matt Ryan. We know his 1 year in Indy did not go well, and he has joined CBS as a football analyst for this upcoming season,
Mhm.
James. From what I saw, he will answer the phone if a team gives him a call to come back and suit up. And so he's saying this is not a retirement, but, you know, I don't know. He needs like some things to fall in his lap
Yeah,
the right way for him to come back, I think.
like I think, and I said this before you when he was traded to Indy. I thought he was shot. Like I thought it was time. It was a good trade for Atlanta getting something for him, but I thought he was
Yeah.
completely shot.
I was hopeful that he had more in him because, Atlanta, the roster really fell apart that last year he was there.
Hmm.
That was like, if I'm thinking right, that was the Ridley year that he got suspended, right? Or no, that was last year when he was
No,
in
that
Indy.
was last
Yeah.
year Ridley was suspended, but Ridley didn't want. There was something. No, Ridley. There was something with he stepped away.
Okay. Yeah. So,
He
either way,
stepped
that
away
last
from
year
he
he
stepped
was there.
he's right because he Ridley was suspended for gambling on NFL games while he had stepped away from the team to focus on his mental health. Where if he would have if the team left him on the roster or left him as under contract, which is what made the gambling an issue. Where if he wasn't on the roster, it wouldn't have been an issue.
I got you. Yeah. And so either way, I thought that last year he was in Atlanta, the team was kind of falling apart around him. So
Yeah.
I was hopeful that going to Indy, he'd be able to get back up there because Indy looked like they were very talented. And then, man, Indy just was like, it was like a snake bit, whatever. Their offensive line looked horrible, even though they were like a top 5 unit for years. And the running game was gone. Like, I mean, everything just fell apart defensively. They had so many issues. Shaq Leonard, that whole thing. I mean, it just, so I don't know. I kind of feel bad for Matt Ryan, but hey, the dude still had a great career, even if this is the end. He's had a great career. Um, but nothing wrong with going and being an analyst, man. He's a sharp guy, and I'm sure he'll do well with that.
Yeah, I think he'll do fine with that. I don't I don't know who would pick up the phone and call him. Like it has to be
There's got
somebody
to be
out of
some injuries or
desperation,
something. Yeah,
like out of complete desperation.
yeah. Like, oh, the Jets are, you know, 10-2, and Rodgers is out for the year, and they're like, okay. we're just going to try it because we were making a run. Like, let's see if
Hmm.
we can keep it going in the playoffs. I don't know. That's just me throwing out some wild scenario.
Yeah, I see that. I don't. It's like I said. It's going to be a complete desperation type
Yep.
situation.
All right, so the next one I got on my list here, James, and Ndamukong Suh. He is saying, similar to Matt Ryan, he's not retiring. He's not on a team. He hasn't signed up with one of the networks, but he's just letting people know that he has not thrown in the towel yet. He is also making it very clear that he will not sign with the team until after training camp. And, we talked about DeAndre Hopkins earlier and him not practicing and, whatever else. There are people linking Suh to come back to the Lions, and I'm definitely not digging that shit. Especially if this guy's like publicly saying he's not going to sign until after training camp. If you want to come to the Lions, man, you better be all in because like
Hmm.
everybody else is buying into that Dan Campbell, Brad Holmes, work your butt off kind of mentality. I can't have a guy like Suh come in and ruin that, man.
Oh, I agree with you. Like I think I said when we kind of talked about it was like if it's that final piece that's going to take the Lions to the Super Bowl, I'll say take the Lions to the Super Bowl, not win it, but like that's that absolute
Yeah,
final
get
piece
him
to
over that hump.
get us over the hump. Then I'd be all for it. But to as you're building, no.
Yeah, and I mean, hey, we do have a need at defensive tackle, but yeah, just not. It's not the right fit, not right now. So, all right, next up, James. Pittsburgh signed a couple of their quarterbacks, re-signed a couple of their quarterbacks. Looks like they're hanging on to Mitch Trubisky and Mason Rudolph for a little while longer. And so, we know Kenny Pickett's the man there. Maybe this is like the third quarterback rule thing coming into play. They decided, hey, we're going to keep both these guys as backups just in case we ever need one of them.
Hmm.
So I thought for sure Rudolph was gone, but hey, he was like a former third round pick, so they thought, what the heck, for a backup, just keep it rolling.
Yeah, I thought I had heard both of them were gone, and
Yeah,
so I was it surprised me a little bit, but I mean, they do need backups. They're familiar with the situation. While you're talking about Pickett, a little side story on it was apparently his SUV, which had the Pittsburgh Steelers playbook on it in it,
uh-oh.
was stolen.
Oh
But
jeez.
apparently it was found or it was police found it. But he had his SUV stolen with his playbook in it.
That's not good. That's not
No.
good.
First of
All
all,
right.
why the fuck is your playbook sitting in your car?
Yeah, lock that thing up in the safe.
Exactly.
um all right, so wrapping up my part of the news here, I got to touch on my Central Michigan guys. We talked after the draft that there were a few of them hanging out there undrafted that I was hopeful would line up with some squads. Defensive end Thomas Incoom, he has signed with the Denver Broncos. Fingers crossed he can hang in there. And then tight end Joel Wilson, he has signed with the New Orleans Saints. Same thing. Fingers crossed for him. I like the landing spot for both these guys. And
Hmm.
so, there's nothing guaranteed. Obviously, you're undrafted. The odds are stacked against you. But I liked the profile on Incoom a lot. And I think that the Saints have a need at tight end, at least for depth. And I believe you liked the profile on Wilson a lot. And so, hey, we're just hoping for the best with these guys, man.
Yeah. Hopefully they latch on. We'll see.
Yeah, it's tough. We know it's a outside chance. But that's all I got news wise, man. What do you got? What I miss?
A couple little things. One, I just saw this article, so I'm not sure that I haven't read through it, but apparently Le'Veon Bell says he wants to continue, or he wants to latch onto a team and ultimate no, and then retire as a Steeler.
Oh my gosh, man. I don't even know when the last time he played.
He hasn't played. When was his last season?
I know he boxed Adrian Peterson
2020.
last year. 2020. All right. Yeah, no, it's
He technically played for the Chiefs in 2020. Technically, he was on the Chiefs in 2020. He didn't play for in the Super Bowl.
okay.
He played. Well, no, in 2021. Let's see. 2021 season, he played in 5 games for the Ravens.
Okay. Well, it's too long of a stretch,
Yeah,
especially for a running back to come back now.
yeah. I mean, and he's 31 now, but I just thought it was crazy.
Yeah.
Like,
I liked him a
it,
lot early in his career, and then he started doing some stupid stuff, like he made kind of like I don't know what I want to call it a demand, but the contract thing with Pittsburgh, he was like, I want top running back and top wide receiver pay because I do
mm-hmm.
both. And it was just like, okay, dude, that's just ridiculous. And then he started like making rap albums or something, and it was just like, oh, you're not even focused on football anymore. And then it just fell off a cliff, man. I mean, it was
Yeah,
ugly. So,
yeah.
so
I know
a bummer, man. Fellow
it's
Sparty, sad to see it go down that way.
yeah. And the other thing, and I have not been able to find any more details on percentage or anything, but apparently Tom. Well, two things about Tom Brady.
Sure. Oh,
Uh,
yeah, yeah. Okay, yeah, yeah. Go ahead.
First thing about Tom Brady is he's been dating an undisclosed blonde superstar. Um, which I mean that sends so many questions.
I
Like, if
heard it's not Kim Kardashian.
well, she's not blonde.
She's blonde right now.
Oh, I didn't know she was. I don't keep up with them. I don't
Yeah.
give a shit about them.
I don't
Um,
either, but I saw the article where somebody from Brady's camp said, nope, it's not
okay.
her.
Anyways, the more football related news with Tom Brady is
Yes.
he has reached a deal to become a minority owner in the Las Vegas Raiders.
Hey, good for him, man.
Which, oh, there's three things with Tom Brady, but
No decision making though, from what I
no
heard.
decision. No, I haven't read any details. I have of it. I just had heard that. I haven't had time to research it,
Yeah.
but I mean, it's a surprise that Bob Kraft didn't do that with the Patriots for him. And what does that say? But
Well, I mean, if you're an owner, I don't know, man. I think a lot of owners, they're hanging on to it. They don't want to give up any pieces of it.
yeah,
And
but Davis needs the money because rumors are is that the Raiders are the poorest franchise in the league.
yeah, maybe that's a factor. I don't, I don't really totally know, but hey, it's cool to see a guy like Brady get a piece of the action like that. If any player could get to that level, it should be a guy like him for sure.
Yeah, and then with that said, the I believe it's the Philadelphia game, first week 1 at home. It's either Philadelphia or Miami, week 1 or week 2. I can't remember specifically, but Brady is going to return to Foxborough and be honored um, by by the Patriots. Probably have his number retired. Blah blah
Okay.
blah.
Okay. Yeah, I got you. Yeah. Hey, that's cool. Good for him, man.
But that's all I had for the news that you missed that I picked up on over the last
Well,
2 weeks.
thank you. Thank you for filling the void. All right, well, yeah, let's switch it over here and let's do our 2023 schedule preview. And so, we don't really have like an official structure for
Oh,
this. We're
oh,
just
there
gonna,
was the
yeah,
flex weeks 13 to week 17. The league approved flexing games to Thursday night.
okay,
Um, they voted 24-8, I believe it was this week, on it and approving it. Where, but as part of it, it's like 28-day notice given, which we had kind of talked about, like they were a couple weeks ago that it was rumored that they were looking into it. I think it's a stupid fucking idea, and it screws a lot of shit up. And
Okay,
like I agree with Mara, who said it's just plain out abusive to the fans.
gotcha. Oh well, yeah, because you're talking about people that potentially have committed however many dollars to be at a
Hmm.
game, and then it just jacks up their plans.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, yeah, I don't like that at all. Okay, so yeah, 2023 schedule preview. James, we can kind of go about this any which way we want. You know, I know we've got, chunks. We can look at the international games. We can look at the most favorable schedules. We can look at the toughest schedules. We can look at the revenge games. We can look at, like the key takeaways. Like, basically the first one I had is just the key takeaway, like you talked about earlier. The Lions are going on the road in week one to play the Chiefs. First game of the season. A lot of people are buying into this Lions hype train, and I like it, but I'm obviously always wanting to keep that bar down because we've been disappointed so many times in the past. But I love this game for the Lions because
Hmm.
whether they win or not, they're going to find out real fast what they're up against if they want to be a legit playoff team. And the Chiefs are going to want to win that game because, they're going to be doing their little Super Bowl celebration first week, and, they're not going to want to disappoint their fans against the Lions. And so I think it's a really good test for the Lions. Hey, people are like going crazy about you guys. You better get in there and fight this one out, man. And even if they lose, it's like you got to like make it look good. You got to be real close in that game. And I, and then like I said, even if they lose, even if they get beat down, it's a wake up call for them. It's like, no, you're not there yet. And so I think a lot can be learned from that game for the Lions, man.
Yeah, I agree with you there. And there was like some weird stat at some point where like there was like 5 years in a row, um, or something, or some ridiculous amount of time. And I'm trying to look it up. It just popped in my head where the NFL kickoff game winner won the Super Bowl that year.
Really?
Yeah, or
Oh
went to
man.
the Super Bowl that year.
Okay. I like those kind of stats, man. Those are always fun ones. It's like, yeah, like really does it mean anything at all? It's just maybe coincidental, but it's kind of cool.
Yeah, let me. I'm gonna look it up on the fly, and I'll have
Sure.
more
Yeah.
of it. But there was some weird stat like, and it was like in the 2000s.
All right. So yeah, while you're looking that up, James, I pulled up an article from Eric Edholm, lead draft writer on NFL.com, and he did, in his opinion, what are the most favorable schedules for this year. And so he looked at things like the opponent's, win percentage, like strength of schedule. He looked at like, um, you know, where you're playing, when you're playing. Is it on the road? Is it a prime time game? Is it whatever? His article kind of like talks about sort of his method for the madness, and so he comes up with what he thinks are the most favorable schedules, and he's got the Saints at the top of that list. Um, he's saying that they have a strength of schedule of 0.427, which is 31st. Then he's got the Panthers in second with a 0.453 strength of schedule, which is 27th. After that, he's got the Colts, 0.434, which is 29th. Then he's got the Jags, 0.477, which is 23rd. And then he's got the Bears, 0.497, which is 18th. 0.497, I mean, you're almost like right in the middle at 500 there for your your opponent's win-loss record. But and for each of these, he gives a little tidbit on why he likes them, even though like the strength of schedule doesn't like perfectly line up, but um, and then I'm trying to find out if it's him did the same for a toughest schedules. It is him. I just pulled up that one as well, and that one he's got the Patriots have the toughest schedule with a .549 strength of schedule, which is third. He's got the Rams is the second toughest with a .533, which is ranked ninth. Then he's got the Cardinals with a .519, which is 11th. The Chiefs with a .512, which is 16th, and then Buffalo with .542, which is 7th. And that's tough. Like, I think when you look at the most favorable schedules, good for Derek Carr landing with the Saints and maybe having like an easy transition because he's got to learn a new playbook. He's got to get acclimated with all new guys around him. That could make it a soft landing for him, which is nice. Carolina, they got their new franchise quarterback of the future. You give him a little bit of a softer schedule. Maybe that helps kind of get him off on the right track. I like that. Flipping it over to the toughest ones, you got the Patriots at the top. They're trying to bounce back, and they've got the toughest schedule, or the toughest, schedule in this guy's opinion. It's going to make it real hard for them. And then the Rams, we know the Rams are like desperate to bounce back, and it's going to be an uphill battle with the amount of attrition they've had on the roster anyhow. You factor in now they got the toughest schedule hypothetically. It's going to make it that much harder for them. Arizona, I think it doesn't even matter for them. Everybody knows this is a wasted year for Arizona, but the third hardest strength of schedule. I mean, what does that mean? Could they be one of these teams that wins one or two games? I think it's possible. I guess we'll find out. But and then the last two guys, Kansas City and Buffalo. I'm not worried about either of them. They're like in that tip-top tier of the NFL where even with a hard strength schedule like this, unless they have major injuries, they're going to find a way to fight their way into the playoffs.
So I found the set, and it was a little bit different than what I thought. So
sure, yeah.
Since the league has started the Thursday night game as the Super Bowl champion and their banner ceremony to open the season, only 3 teams have lost the opening night game after the banner ceremony. It was the Rams last year, the Patriots the year in 2017, not the year before, 2017, and the 2012 Giants.
Okay. And so how far back does this go that they've been doing this?
2004.
Okay.
With the exception of 2019, 2020, something like that. Whenever the 100th season was,
gotcha.
Because they didn't on Thursday night bat for the 100th season. They had the Packers Bears game on that Thursday night instead of the Patriots.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, still good to know, I suppose. All right, James, why don't we take a look at
there was 2 years in 2013 because the Orioles refused to reschedule a regular season game to allow the Ravens to host a Thursday night game in 2013.
Okay. All right. I thought next chunk here we could just take a look at the international games. And so
I have opinions here.
You have what?
I have opinions here.
You have opinions here? Well, do you want to lead the this piece of it?
So a couple things I saw on the international games was first of all, Jacksonville is playing back-to-back weeks overseas, and the schedule release actually has it wrong because it has Jacksonville, or the schedule grids I've seen has it wrong because it has Jacksonville as a home game for a home team for both games, where one of the games they're the road team. Every grid I've seen, it's the week 5 game. Buffalo is the home team, and Jacksonville is the road team. But every schedule grid I've seen has had it the other way.
Okay.
Um, they first of all, Jacksonville hosts in London, and it's been rumored that if they relocate a team to London, it would be Jacksonville because I believe they're coming up on that time where Khan had to keep the Jaguars in Jacksonville per the sales contract.
Okay.
He purchased the team, and Khan has a lot of ties to London. I believe he owns Man U,
Okay.
and one of them, Man U or Man City, I can't remember which one he owns, and so he has those ties to London. The one part of the Germany schedule I hate. I hate the fact that they put Miami, Kansas City in Germany because that's robbing the Chiefs fans because it's a home game for the Chiefs. It's robbing the Chiefs fans of the Tyreek Hill return to Arrowhead.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
I just I don't like that. I thought there were other games that they could have put there that wouldn't have been as bad. Like I mean, like you could have put almost any game that the Chiefs were playing in London or any of the home games in London that week. Like you could have put Philadelphia there, or because and Philadelphia plays Miami, and like there's some finagling to do, but like I just don't like the Miami. Philadelphia wouldn't be a good choice either, but
Okay.
you could put one of the division games there, like the Chargers or something.
Sure. Yeah, yeah, and so, I guess just to kind of back it up for anybody who's watching. So the NFL has selected 5 games for international this year. You got week 4, which is the Wembley game in London, Atlanta versus Jacksonville. Then you got week 5, which is the other Jacksonville game, also in London, but at Tottenham, and that's Jacksonville versus Buffalo. Then you go to week 6, so we got 3 in a row here. You got Baltimore at Tennessee. That one's also at Tottenham and London, so you got 3 there in London. Then you go week 9, so you skip ahead a couple weeks. You've got Miami versus Kansas City in Frankfurt, Germany, and then you just go to the next week again, and you've got Frankfurt, Indianapolis at New England for week 10. I don't know why I thought the Germany ones were at 2 different locations. I guess not.
I thought they were too.
Huh. Okay. Well, I mean, hey, that not a big deal. But yeah, so London's getting 3, Germany's getting 2.
Because I thought one. Are you sure? I thought one was in Munich and one was in.
That's what I thought. So I'm looking at, and maybe this NFL.com article got it wrong, but I'm looking at Nick Shook's article from May 10th. And so he's got them both at Frankfurt Stadium. And so maybe, I don't know if something changed or if maybe I just got it wrong. But either way, the German fans, they freaking loved it last year. And so they're getting it twice this year. And, um, I know it's hard on the players. I think that we talked a little bit offline about Jacksonville. Maybe it's a benefit for them playing 2 in a row there because hypothetically they could just stay and they're already adjusted to the time difference and whatever
Mhm.
else. But man, it's tough going there, like whatever it is, like a 6, 7 hour time difference, from where I'm at. For you, that's like a 10-hour difference in time. And so it's like, phew, that's not easy to do. And then you got to come back and reacclimate to the States. So,
Yeah. So I mean, it's for like for Jacksonville because they're on the East Coast. It's fine. It seems like everybody but Kansas City and Indianapolis are in the Central Time Zone. Everyone else is in the Eastern Time Zone, so it's
okay.
not as
Yeah, nobody coming from the West Coast.
rough. Right. Nobody coming from the West Coast. Nobody coming. Really. No, yeah, nobody coming from the West Coast or going more than like more time zones where more than like 7 hours difference because it's 6 hours for you. I mean, shit, out here it's like 6 a.m. the game starts.
Yeah, yeah. All right, so the next little chunk here I had, James, was about revenge games, and this was based off of an article on NFL.com by Adam Rank, and I like Adam Rank a lot. I don't know that I agreed with all of his revenge games, and so I didn't like list them all, but like I just kind of noted some of the ones that I think are maybe noteworthy. He's got Philadelphia at Kansas City, which I think, anybody would say, yeah, that's huge. That's going to be in week 11, but that's a Super Bowl rematch, so that's a big one there. Then you got Cincinnati at Kansas City, and I'm just scrolling down to see if I can find what week that is. Um, oh, I can't. I guess I didn't
It's
mark
week
that one.
17.
Week 17. So yeah, that's obviously a huge one. I guess we'll find out that late in the season how much it matters for each of these teams, but we know that that's like a new hot rivalry in the NFL.
Yeah. What,
Then
you also have Buffalo at Kansas City. Like the thing I noticed with it
yep,
is it's like it's good. Like they put the Philadelphia at Kansas City on Monday night, but it's bad for Philadelphia. Yeah, Kansas City is going to be coming back um, from whatchamacallit, Germany, but Philadelphia in the stretch, they have their bye week at the same time. They're both coming off of a bye week, but then they're at Kansas City. They have a real rough stretch right there where they have
okay,
at Kansas City, home for Buffalo, home for San Francisco,
yeah,
and then at Dallas. And Kansas City, like they have that's not really, it's really an easy stretch for them
okay.
there. Where yeah, they're coming back from Germany where they play Miami, then Philadelphia, then they're at Vegas, at Green Bay.
Well, yeah, and then all right, and yeah, and so then another one that I liked when I looked at this was the Adam Rank article was San Francisco's playing at Philly in week 13. And so that's obviously,
Mm-hmm.
the 49ers want to get their revenge because they were without the quarterback that we've talked so much about tonight.
Mm-hmm.
Then some of them, I don't know, like you're digging deeper. So he's got Denver at Miami, talking about Vic Fangio now with the Dolphins, getting a little bit of revenge. When you're starting to dig down to the coordinators and stuff like that, you're kind of like scraping the bottom of the barrel a little bit. But, yeah, I mean, hey, there's a little bit of revenge factor there. The Colts at the Panthers, that's another one. You got Frank Reich now with Carolina. Yeah, he's going to want to get one over on Indy. I get that. And then, they had the Patriots at the Raiders. And so it's like, oh, Josh McDaniels, Bill Belichick. Now you got Jimmy Garoppolo in the mix. It's like, okay, I get that one a little bit. And then you got Dallas at San Francisco. And that's one that, I mean, geez, what was that one? That was like like San Francisco just shut them down. Let's see. I'm just looking for the note here. Yeah, basically just shut them down in the divisional round or whatever. Um, I don't know. It's fine. But yeah, I think the first few that we talked about are the big ones, and like you covered it, some of the stretches that these guys have in the schedule, I don't know, man. It could kind of like skew, you know, how much revenge could they actually be getting here?
Yeah, like one of my weird things with the schedule was how they did the buys.
Okay,
Like if you look at it, there's like, and especially on the fantasy football side of things,
okay,
um, you have 2 weeks, week 7 and week 13, and week 13 you're starting into the stretch for the playoffs. You're pushed for the playoffs, and some leagues even start their playoffs in week 13. You have 6 teams on a bye both those weeks,
yeah. I mean, I
and
guess if you had a traditional league that hasn't adjusted for the extra week in the schedule, yeah, I mean that would totally wreck your playoffs, man.
yeah, you have the Bears, the Bills, the Giants, the Raiders, the Ravens, and the Vikings on a bye in week 13. In week 7, you have the Bengals, Cowboys, Jets, Panthers, Texans, Titans.
Yep.
And so, and then on top of that, week 10, you have Mahomes, Hurts, Herbert, all on buys at the same time. But you have weeks where there's no buys. Weeks
Oh
week
yeah,
eight
like what
and
is it,
week eight
week
and week
12?
12. Week 8 and week 12 don't have any buys,
Yeah, that's weird,
and
man.
and four teams on a bye in week 5, week 9, week 10, and week 11.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, hey, they have a whole special on NFL Network about how they come up with the schedule every year and the billions of ways that it can be done and um yeah, it is interesting. Yeah, and from a fantasy standpoint, I guess it's just hopefully you've adjusted so that your playoffs are going to be 15, 16, 17, and then you don't have to worry because there's even two buys in week 14, man. That's like going late into the season.
Yeah, that is late in the season, and remember, I'm not saying that either of these teams are going to make that push, but in when the Bucks won the Super Bowl, they had their bye in like in week 14.
I think that the good teams want that late buy, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. I haven't looked at the stats. I used to always kind of speculate that the good teams got the later buys. But like, I mean, when you would look at this Arizona week 14, that's not,
Yeah,
Washington week 14, that's not. And so I don't, I think that that's just maybe me just being a grumpy old man, but, not a lot to really support that.
yeah. But like a couple weird things I saw is
Yeah.
so the Giants have two, three, four, five, six, seven, nine away games this year.
Okay.
7 of them are in the first 11 weeks of the season.
Wow. Hang on. I'm just pulling them up.
And they have a lot of stretches. They have so they're Giants home, away, away, home, away, away, home, home, away, 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 home.
Wow. Yeah. That's rough, man. Yeah, I don't like that for them. Um, yeah, I mean they finished 4 out of 6 at home with a bye in there. So it's like if they can get through that early stretch like you're talking about, their their run to the playoffs could be good, but like
Yeah,
their season could be screwed before they even get to their bye week, man.
right. But it's not like the league had to do that because like the Jets were going to be at home because
Yeah.
and one, two, let's see, one, two. I'm only seeing two,
Well,
three.
yeah, and I guess looking at that,
3 of the games the Jets are home.
oh man, all right. So all right, can I just like shift gears for a second? Because I'm looking
Okay.
at Dallas now. So Dallas has 4 out of their first 6 on the road, and they have 3 out of their last 4 on the road. That's a hose job, man.
Wow. I missed that.
Dude, that's like somebody said, "Hey Jerry, you know, bend down, touch those toes," because for a team that's desperate to get in the playoffs and do something, wow, they're not making it easy for them.
Well, but like if you want to go there, like starting in week
Yeah,
13, look at the Lions. Away, away, home, away, away, home.
Yeah, I'm just looking at it. So from week 13, oh yeah, so they got 4 out of their last 6 on the road.
And Denver's the same way.
Yeah, yeah, let's see. Let's just keep scrolling here. Yeah, I think it's at the end of the season's critical. Like you pointed out for the Giants, the end of the season might not even matter for them because they're getting it so hard to start. But
Hmm.
for a lot of the teams, it's like, those last 3, 4 games can be critical. And if you got 3 of them on the road, there's more teams. Like here's another one is yeah, the Jets have 3 out of 4 to finish on the road. Pittsburgh has 3 out of 4 to finish on the road. Yeah, I want to look at Pittsburgh's schedule. I don't know. Pittsburgh early on, not bad. 2 at home, 2 away, home bye, away, home, home, home. 3 at home in a row. That's nice for them.
Away,
Uh, yeah,
away.
Pittsburgh's schedule's not bad, minus those last 4 being 3 out of them on the road. But um, yeah, man, it's interesting. It's interesting. Yeah, and looking at the Lions, I thought, okay, that last matchup, we're playing against Minnesota. With Minnesota winning the North last year and everybody believing Detroit's going to be the team to beat this year, is it possible that that could end up being a critical game?
Well,
Um,
two of the last 3 games for the Lions are Minnesota.
yeah, that's right. Yeah, I'm glad you pointed that out. I forgot about that. Uh, I don't know. See, I feel like Minnesota's going to take a step back this year,
Mhm.
but yeah, I mean, 2 out of 3 at the end, that could shift things pretty dramatically, man.
Yeah, and sandwiched in between is at Dallas. Which
Yeah.
when the fuck is Dallas going to travel to Detroit? It seems like we go to Dallas all the fucking time.
Yeah, it does seem that way. Yeah, I've been to a game against Dallas at Ford Field, but it was like 10 years ago, man. Are you Googling that right now?
Yes.
Yeah, it's sticking with you, isn't it?
Yeah. That when.
Yeah, and while you're looking at that, the one game that stood out to me as being interesting is Week 8. You got Carolina against Houston, and it's in Carolina. But I like that because you got like these top 2 quarterbacks that got drafted this year
Hmm.
getting to square off. 2 young, hopefully up and coming franchises getting to go at it. That could be cool. And then Carolina, they're playing Indy the following week, which Anthony Richardson could be rolling, and that could be another fun one to watch. And so, you get to see these young bucks start slinging it, and that's the middle of the season, man. So like by then, we'll have a pretty good idea of like, is this really just like, you know, they're roughing it through that first year like so many quarterbacks do, or are we seeing some like rare talent with any of these guys by then? And so I'm excited for some of those games, man.
So 3 of the last 10 times Dallas has played Detroit, Dallas and Detroit have been in Detroit.
3 of the last 10. Okay.
Yeah. Like so, apparently I don't remember this. In 2019, they played in Detroit. 2020 last year they played at Dallas. The year before 2018 they played at Dallas. 2016 they played at Dallas. 2015 they played at Dallas. So 2019, 2013, and 2007.
Okay. All right. So I'm just looking at some maybe spicy Week 18 matchups. You got Pittsburgh's at Baltimore. One of those guys could be fighting for a playoff spot. You got Buffalo at Miami. Man, I don't
Mm-hmm.
know, man. Miami was like so streaky last year.
I think I think the South is kind of like I'm sorry. I skipped up to the next one after that.
That's
So
cool.
Buffalo at Miami. Like I see Miami. Miami was streaky last year, but I see them starting to put stuff together there.
Okay. Yeah, Detroit, Minnesota, that's one we talked about.
Kansas City and at the Chargers.
Yeah, that's cool. I like that matchup. I don't know. That's probably about it. I don't know. Maybe the Giants at Philly. That I mean, if the Giants can hang in there,
If they can hang in there, yeah.
they could be fighting for a playoff spot. You know.
I think Jacksonville, Tennessee.
Yeah. See, I don't even know what to make of Tennessee going into this year,
I
man.
know.
It just seems like they're going the wrong way, man. I mean, I guess if Derrick Henry can come back healthy, stay healthy, you never know. But I just don't feel like they're getting it. They're just not filling in the roster for Vrabel right, man. And maybe some of it that's his own fault because I'm sure he's got some input on it. But it just seems like the talent level every year either stays the same or gets worse.
Yeah, I think it gets worse every year. It's like,
Yeah. Yeah, now you got Tannehill with Levis behind him. I mean, you know, so the pressure is going to be on him, but does that matter? I don't know. So I mean, that's hey, and then I will say this. All right, so and this is going to be part of question of the week, which we'll talk about. But so out of all of this, you had four teams not get a primetime game. You had Arizona, Houston, Atlanta, and Indianapolis. And I'm just pulling up the article about the most and fewest primetime games. Um, and there was something I wanted to talk about with this. Let me see if I can find it. All right, so this article didn't lay it out the way I wanted it to. Crap. All right, so there's four teams with six primetime games. You've got the Chiefs, the Chargers, the Bills, and the Cowboys. Where's the other part of this article?
isn't it 7? Oh no, because oh no, that one's Thanksgiving. Sorry, my fault. For Dallas, I was looking at, but Dallas, Washington's on Thanksgiving.
Yeah. I thought this game had some more in there because, like, I thought Chicago had a decent amount of primetime games, but this doesn't. This is only giving me the most and the least. Hmm.
So Chicago has 4.
Yeah, that's a lot for Chicago, man. For a team that
Yeah,
was
it is a lot
garbage
for
last year.
Chicago.
And then what about Detroit? Because they had a handful.
Detroit has 2, 3, 4.
Okay. Yeah, I mean we should have more than Chicago, man. That's a bit of a ripoff for us, but
So
whatever.
one thing I just noticed on this, and I didn't catch this before, was New England has 3 weeks in a row primetime games.
Really? Wow.
Week 14 they play Thursday night football at Pittsburgh. Week
Okay.
15 they play Monday night football home for Kansas City, and week 16 they play an NFL Network game at Denver.
Gotcha.
It's
Huh.
Christmas. Oh, that's the Christmas Eve game. Where's Christmas this year? Not Christmas Eve, but
Well, I don't know. I'm scraping the bottom of the barrel now with my notes. That's all I had, man. What else is sticking out for you, bud?
I think that was kind of like about it. Like I like how the NFL seems to go with the tradition of matching up, giving a team 2 Thursday night games in a row, like, or 2 Thursday games in a row around Thanksgiving. So like you have like a team that plays on Thanksgiving. Like for instance, this year the Thanksgiving games are Washington at Dallas, Green Bay. They're all divisional games. Holy shit!
Yeah, that's right. I'm glad you saw that because yeah, I
Green
remember
Bay
hearing
at
about that.
Detroit and San Francisco at Seattle.
Yeah.
And then the following Thursday night game, it's San Francisco at Dallas.
Okay.
And I'm sorry, it's Seattle. Yeah, San Francisco at Seattle. And it's Seattle at Dallas. Sorry.
Okay. That's fine.
So I thought that was interesting, which technically Dallas has three in a row national broadcast games, and so do the Lions.
Gotcha.
Because if you count the Thanksgiving Day
Yep.
game as
Yep.
that's a national broadcast,
I
and
know
then
they don't
I'm
consider it a
sorry,
prime
not
time game,
Detroit,
but for
Green
us,
Bay,
yeah, I mean it
Green
is.
Bay, Green Bay, not Detroit. Sorry, Green Bay,
Okay.
because Green Bay's at Detroit for the early Thanksgiving game. Then they play Sunday Night Football home to with Kansas City, and then they play Monday Night Football the following week at the Giants.
Okay. Sweetness. Sweetness. Yeah, it looks like your camera froze on me, but that's okay because I think we're getting to the end here. All right, so did you have any other schedule stuff, or is it good time to segue to question of the week?
I think that's kind of all I had with the schedule. It's still kind of like I think they
We
went
just want it to be here tomorrow.
yeah. So so they went
Oh yeah,
Black
there's a Friday night game now, right? Did we
yeah,
talk
there's
about that?
Black Friday game,
Yeah.
Miami at the Jets, and the other thing I wanted to mention with the and this is kind of fucked up for Jacksonville.
Okay.
So Jacksonville, as we said, they have the back-to-back London games.
Yeah.
When they come back from London, they don't have a bye. So them and Buffalo, Baltimore, those and Atlanta, those four teams that play in London don't have a bye the following week. Well,
All right, so hang on here, hang on here. All right, so Jacksonville's playing in London. What is it, weeks 5 and 6 or weeks four
weeks
and five?
week 4 and 5.
Okay, all right. So then week 6 they got a home game at Indy because I just saw week 7 and 8 they're on the road. I was like, no way are they going to London 2 weeks in a row and then having to play two more on the road.
Yeah,
All right, so they sneak a home game in with Indy. Okay.
right. They sneak a home game. It looks like every team that plays in London that doesn't have a bye after the London game plays at home.
Okay. And that's I think that's fair, like that's how you even it out for them a little bit.
Yeah, but I'm surprised. And let me see, one of them. No, that can't be. Okay, good. I thought I eyes misaligned, and I thought one of the teams that didn't have a bye after a Europe game then had to come back for a Thursday night game.
Gotcha.
But my eyes misaligned on it, so I was like, "Oh shit, that's rough."
Yeah, yeah, that'd be bad. All right.
But yeah, I think that's about all I saw on the schedule.
Okay. Well, let's do our question of the week then, James. So, yeah, as I mentioned, we got four teams that did not get a primetime game. I want to know which one, in your opinion, got snubbed the most. And so I'll just repeat it. You got the Arizona Cardinals, the Houston Texans, the Atlanta Falcons, and the Indianapolis Colts. In my opinion, the team that got snubbed the most was the Houston Texans. And the way I looked at it was that they just totally crushed the draft. They got, C.J. Stroud and Will Anderson back to back at 2 and 3 like that. I get it. They're at the bottom of the rankings and they got to work their way up. But I just got to believe people want to see those guys on the field, man. It's so rare that a team gets two first round picks like that let alone two of the top three. And I think D'Amico Ryans has been bringing some hype to that team. They brought in some veterans. Um, I'm not saying they're going to like light the world on fire, but I felt like they should have gotten at least one. And then if I had to, I'd give a runner up to Atlanta because Atlanta really did a lot last year with very little to work with by going 7-10. Now they're bringing in Bijan Robinson. Man, I just I like I said, I'd give them a runners up nod or whatever. But the Colts, I mean not the Colts, the Cardinals, hey, forget them. They don't deserve a primetime game. I mean, they're very obviously just going to tank this season and then start playing the year after.
Hmm.
And then the Colts, it's hard because the Colts they have shot themselves in the foot these last couple of years, and so this is kind of like a wake up call for them. But that's just my opinion, man. What do you think?
So you had sent me this earlier, and I kind of went through it. So I instantly discounted the Cardinals, and
Yeah,
like base,
they're garbage.
it's basically the reasons you said. And then I looked at it, and I thought Atlanta was the next candidate.
Okay,
But Atlanta got a nationally televised game in playing in Europe.
okay,
Then I'm between Houston and Indy, and yeah, you say Houston killed the draft and absolutely dominated the draft, but then also Indy, I thought they've been putting some pieces together, and I like what I'm starting to see, but they do keep shooting themselves in the foot. But then I compared the two schedules, and Indy also has a nationally televised game. They play in Germany.
okay.
So that left me Houston because I looked and see where I could knock somebody out instantly, and
Yeah, yeah. No, that's a good way of
they
doing
have
it. Yeah,
they have
yeah,
they may not have a primetime game, but they have a nationally televised game,
yeah. Those
and that's
international games, those are better than nothing.
yeah, and those international games are also get as much hyped as a primetime game.
Yeah, good point.
So I think it's Houston. And it's all the points you said. Like they're coming up. They absolutely nailed the draft. They have two top 10 picks. They have two top three picks. Um, and they can't get any love. They've won 4 games. What 4 games the last 2 seasons? Trying to lose.
Yeah, yeah.
So what's going to happen when they try to win is they're. I think what's going to happen is Houston. I could see um, week 16. Let me see what the flex to Sunday or Monday night because for or Monday night because the Monday night game there is not a Monday night. Wait a minute. There's not a Monday night game scheduled week 16, week 17, week 18.
Okay.
That can't be right.
Yeah, that seems strange.
Week wait. Week Christmas is Monday this year. So week 16 makes sense.
Okay.
If I remember correctly. Is Christmas Monday this year? November, December. Yes, Christmas Day is Monday. So you have the 3 Christmas games. So that won't be flexed. Because that was my option to be flexed into a primetime slot for them.
Okay.
Thursday. Oh, it could be flexed. That they could flex that to Thursday night because
Gotcha.
that Thursday night, week 16, they have New Orleans at the Rams, and if both teams are terrible this year, they could flex Cleveland at Houston to
Gotcha.
Thursday night. That could make sense. But or Houston at Tennessee in week 15 could be flexed. Like there would probably be something flexed later in the year for them
Sure.
if they're as good as I think they're going to be. But
But they got the old snub right now.
Yeah, they have the old snub right now. There's a few games that a few weeks where I say, well, that game could be like, or it could be a primetime game, and it's not. Those could be big games.
Gotcha.
But yeah, so I'd go with Houston on it.
All right. Well,
Heck, they could
we're
take
in
care of two
alignment.
of them
Yeah.
and
No, I
flex
like
week
how you.
18.
Yeah, I like how you you called out those international games with the other teams, and it's a good way to look at that as well. It was like last year when the Lions didn't have a primetime game, but they had the Thanksgiving game. It's like, well, that's better than nothing, but it still
Hmm.
sucked that they had no primetime games. So, but we'll take it. So, all right, James, that's all I got for tonight, man. You got any closing thoughts?
No, I think that's all I got too.
Okay. Well, yeah. So, hey, for anybody who's still watching, we hope you liked the show. If you did, give us that thumbs up or a like or whatever platform you're looking at it on. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. Next week, we're more than likely doing our super early record predictions. So check us out again. And yeah, hey, like always, James, it was fun, man. I will catch you later.
All right, sounds good. Have a good one.
Gridiron Grinder. Hut hut hike.